Hello, Shehnaz.
Hi, Anja.
Here we are again.
Yes, doing a quantum dance with each other.
Yes, dude, exactly. Quantum dance. So, yeah, I was just explaining, just as quantum, like, what does it mean? It means that, yeah, we ask questions that we don't know in general. People don't know they exist. So, I'm this curious, character that's nagging, hey, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this about space consciousness. Um, Heart energy. We're going to talk about heart energy today a little bit. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes through. So, are you excited about today's chat?
Yeah. And I wanted to say that we go where no man has gone before.
Yeah, exactly. We are learning by doing, I would say, because everything is unfolding as we speak. We don't know what's next. So, yeah, it's good to be surprised sometimes, like in a good way. Yeah. Do you like surprises?
Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, that is the interesting thing about the whole quantum existence is that, you can definitely plan for things. You can have a schedule. You can think that your life needs to be a certain way or your day needs to be a certain way. But truly, that's never 100% matches it. However, you can still do a good job in creating a flow where you are balanced in this, right?
Yeah. So, what is your opinion on this surrendering state? Because we've been hearing a lot of that lately. You just have to surrender to the universe. You just have to trust the universe. How would you define that, like to others?
Yeah, and I completely agree with that question. It's funny you're asking that question because it is kind of my favorite question. You know why? Because the answer is the quantum being. So the whole idea is the surrender. Anytime when you have to make any effort, it's kind of interesting because there's something about effort. Like there are two types of effort. There's an effort because, like the fact that you and I make an effort to take this time out of our day to have this conversation, right? Which requires an effort, requires a discipline, requires us to show up. So that effort is because you and I both love exploring our own consciousness and sharing that with others, right? So it kind of becomes a win-win situation. But if you're making an effort on doing something that you truly at the core level are not aligned and you're doing it, like let's say you're going to go somewhere where at your core level you truly don't want to go, or let's say you're going to meet someone at the core level you truly just you rather not meet them, then that to me that effort is where you got to be aware. Why would you want to make that effort? Because that's where you got to surrender. That's where you got to be trust the process. Because if something is not feeling right, then you don't have to put so much effort because that effort is going in opposite direction. It's going against your flow. It's against going against the universal flow. And whenever you do that, let's say you do that and you say, no, I'm just going to do it, even though in your heart you're like bitching at it. And then you're going to drive and your car will puncture or something will happen. The point is, and then you're like, I can't believe that this had to happen today. But think about it. You are already not in the flow. On top of that, you're going out of your way to say, universe, come hit me.
So, surrendering it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm like that. Universe, just do whatever you need to do. You have to put some effort in it. Yeah.
Exactly. That
Okay.
effort
Yeah,
is
that's a
being
good
and
perspective.
being. That effort is
Yeah.
being aware of who you are and what you want, being kind of representing yourself, right? So it
Yeah.
requires, that's why I'm saying it's a two type of efforts. One effort that where you go against the flow. The other effort is where you are making an effort in the flow because that is where your heart is. That's where your passion is.
Exactly. So, what would you say, like pushing, when we are pushing something to happen, like, and, there's anticipation and, patience is very, very interesting thing in human world. So, yeah, what is your perspective on patience and anticipation and pushing things to happen
Yes,
and surrendering, like in
right.
terms of this?
And then how it connects to manifesting, right? So that's a great
Hmm.
question too, because if you think about it, like, for example, like in my case, I really wanted to speak English, right? So then I knew that I wanted to speak English, but I had no way to do that. And then I am thrown in a situation where I'm in a country where English is the main language, right? So now what happened was I already had that desire, right? So it was already embedded in me. And now I actually have a reason to do it. So what I did was I pushed myself. I went to community college. I took all the classes. I learned as best as I could. I started talking to people, right? That to me is pushing yourself. But at the same point, there was a dance between pushing myself and having a patience that it's going to have its own life, right? It took me 5 years to speak English fluently, right? It wasn't like instantaneous. But I
Yeah.
pushed myself in the whole 5 years. Like I embarrassed myself. I felt very uncomfortable, right? But I had to go through that. And so to me, that is the reason that you need to know when to push, when to not, when to wait, when to go. And that dance, it's funny because I was talking to Roger this morning and I gave him the same analogies. Like that dance is like Victorian dance where you dance with your partner and then you change partner, right?
Change it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. So that is the whole recipe. And it all requires you to hone into you and listen to you as a whole, right? Physical,
No
emotional,
matter what. No matter what. Yeah.
no
No
matter.
matter what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So manifestation is a dance.
Exactly, because you're the one choreographing it. You're the one, right,
Yeah.
putting all the steps in. And when you show up there, it's because you really kind of converged it. But of course, you are not only one on this whole universe. There's all these other entities doing their own dance, which is why when
Yeah.
you collapse with another person, like Anya, you and I, quantum collapse, then it's kind of like, wow, we are here. And then, it's like Big Bang.
It's a big bang. It definitely is. Since we met, so many crazy things happen. So yeah. Um yeah, I'm happy because of that, definitely. So yeah, we started talking a little bit about, patience and anticipation and waiting, especially like waiting. And I think like these days, I mean, we were talking about that, in our previous episodes, but these days things are happening so fast. Like everything is happening so fast, everything is unfolding so fast. It's like in one day you can get information that can really, I don't know, like, bring you down. But then you are like, oh my god, what just happened? And then like in 10 minutes later, it can be completely different information that elevates your emotion. And it's like, what? There are so many emotional extremes. Would you agree? Like I can feel that.
Yeah, and I actually have a recipe for that, right? So you're right. Because when you are like, there are two ways to meet the universe, right? Because, you and the universe, right? It's all one, but it has its separation based on the way
You
you
see
come.
my hoodie? I am the universe.
Yeah. So, when you graduate from
It's
quantum being.
you matter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's you matter. And yeah, it's funny because there's so many jokes on that. But the thing that I was saying, where was I, Anya? Please refresh, help
Yeah,
me.
about the universe, and that we were talking about fast
Yeah, the whole
emotional
thing.
extremes. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing that things are happening really fast, and what I would really urge everybody to do is start kind of creating, acknowledging and activating the shell that we have around, right, in our auric field. Because what it is that you have your eggshell around you in the form of electromagnetic field that you don't see. That shell is very crucial for you to activate, especially when you're going to places or doing something new. Because what it is that way, what you create a little bit of a boundary between you and external influences. And what it helps you is it helps you show up the best for you and others, because you are not like everything that comes from the external universe, from based on your perception, you don't take it personally. And that to me becomes very important. So similarly, when things are changing, like with like what's going on earth, right, at the very huge level, at the level of like with what's happening in Middle Eastern, or what's happening economy wise, all of these things are major, right? And of course it affects every one of us. But when you're continuously dialing into a channel and reacting to this channel, what you're doing is you're self-perpetuating the very system that you don't want to be part of.
Yeah. I agree, definitely. And you know what is really interesting? Because yesterday I was talking to this person, and we were like, talking about, situation in the world, and like what is going to happen, and like 2027, and all these predictions and everything. And it was so interesting because there are a few people, that I met that have completely different perception of things, of the future, of the, yeah, like of the reality. And I was like, okay, what is, because I know that we are on different timelines, so it's like, then I'm asking myself, okay, so why did I have to meet this person? Like, what do we have to exchange? And usually it's like, okay, Anya, like, even if you don't agree with that, don't judge. Just don't judge. And then when we start looking, from this wider perspective, like every situation, there are definitely some meeting points in there. And that's really exciting, even though we are not aligned, or, like we are in completely different, opinions or whatever. But when you are not judging, when you are looking thing, situation, opinion, whatever, you're looking from this broad perspective, you can see so much more. And you can see a person in completely different light than you would see him or her, like if you would be judging, if you would be like, oh yeah, I don't agree with you, so it's like, I'm right, you're wrong, so like that's done.
Right.
And I think that, people should act like this, like not judging. Like, we should get rid of this judgment.
Yeah,
This is what
because
I think.
judgment limits your perception. Like it
Hmm.
basically takes the layer off, the information layer off of it. Because what happens now, you put another layer on, which is not true, because it's just created based on your biases, based on your prejudice, based on whatever you were being brainwashed to think. All of that incorporates into judgment, right? So that's why it doesn't help anyone, right? And then the other thing about, and that is again comes back with the surrender and all the good stuff you mentioned earlier, is because when you do the dance in a way that you're continuously honoring that aspect of you, then what happens is that you notice yourself when you're going in the direction of judging. You notice that, oh, here I go again. Because, we judge ourselves too, which is the reason we judge others. Everything we do to anyone, we do it to ourselves. So we need to know that that is dance is also going on. But, I wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier about the fact that you meet sometimes people that don't look 100% aligned, but this shows certain thing that you kind of, you kind of like, oh, wow, or whatever that expression is. The thing about it is, Anya, and you read my chapter 6, the whole thing about it is that when we meet anyone for whatever movement we meet, whether we meet them for a minute or an hour, when we notice these interactions, especially when we feel affected by it, there's definitely a reason. There's definitely a reason for it. And you have to honor it. You
Absolutely.
have to take whatever comes, good, bad, ugly, because actually there's you wanted to experience that so bad, right? So
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
just go into that.
Yeah, because I mean, we are attracting that on our, based on our vibrational frequency.
Exactly.
So, there's a reason that we were attracting each other, like we attracted each other into our lives. And when you start seeing things like from this perspective, and when you start living like this, like life really becomes a game, a
Exactly.
playground. Yeah.
100%. That's what I'm saying, that the more and more you start seeing this thing, that how you are doing, like how what input you're putting and what output you're getting. What input, I mean, it's almost it is truly a game, and it's an art, and it is not as black and white and straightforward, which is the reason so many people are struggling. And my whole thing is that, yeah, I've been there, done that, truly. And now I am seeing that how you can really make the most of it. And my goodness gracious, it's not that hard when you start seeing, right, the interconnectedness of how everything comes into existence.
Yeah, basically what we are doing, we are just, like not fighting with others, we are fighting with ourselves. Seriously, it is, and when you realize that, it's like, holy crap, you know, it's, yeah, like I could have saved so much time or like energy, but no, it is just the way it's supposed to be because it was a lesson, I guess. Yeah,
Right.
sometimes I say that to myself, and at first it's not that easy. It's like, oh, how could I be so stupid? But then it said like, no, it's okay. Everything is just the way it has to be. So
Right. And like we are called human being, right? Hue actually means light. Man means man. Being means being, somebody who is continuously moving, basically, because it's in a state of being. So when you really look at our name, I mean, our name pretty much says it all. And then we have to worry about the whole concept of surrendering or trust the process. I'm like, our name speaks for itself. Let's just be whom we are meant to be. Let's not fight that. Let's not go against that.
being of light, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what we
Light
are.
beings. Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like if we touch this subject as well, like from scientific point of view, I actually, yeah, I saw a few, documentaries and I read articles because when I go down the rabbit hole about this, it can be really interesting. But we are light beings because we have like this photons in our cells, yeah, light photons, yeah, in
Yeah.
like biological meaning.
So so basically in July, right? In I think it was 2019. Japan did the experiment, right, to figure out that whether we have a light within us, and they were able to
Mhm.
figure it out by applying a experiment and using a particular camera, right? So we do have a light within us, right? It gets activated, right, just like everything else. So that's the
Yeah,
thing, that everything is reflecting light to you, right? I mean, that's why the only way we see each other is because of light. So light is embedded in everything that is visible to us in the physical world. It's that simple, right? So when you think that
yeah,
way, then you understand that, yeah, you can basically, just like plant, right? When plant goes through the photosynthesis process and it activates its photon, right? Similarly, we can activate our photon through light body activation, through grounding, through active intentioning, right? Through making an effort to listen to this conversation so we can upgrade our consciousness. All of these upgrades your photon. And basically what it is Anya, is we're doing this dance. We're absorbing photon and we're emitting photon. We do that continuously, day in and day out, because we are a quantum being. So in this process, what I say is that you can take the ownership of how, what type of photon you want to absorb, so you can upgrade your cell voltage so it can heal itself, versus what do you want to let go, like a dialogue or the subconscious programming that's running in the background, that's really not feeding your soul and that's just kind of almost hindering it. Let it go, right? So we can continuously do that with breathe in and breathe out. So we can actually, because we can program ourselves, we are all software programmers. We can all be.
interesting. Yeah, and when we are talking about the light, um, I mean, we cannot see the light if there's no darkness. Yeah. Usually it's like that. You will never recognize the light if, there's no darkness. Like if there's a light inside the darkness, let's, yeah, there's the light. Otherwise, you don't see it. And this is also something, that I think people should be aware of, that it's a package. It's never only roses and sunshine. It's never only light, but it's a package. And with the darkness, we just have to what, like transform it into light, or we just have to like embrace it or accept it. What is your take on this?
So first I want to explain people that what you said is a package is 100% true. And the reason is that, like, the light and dark are coming together, right? The only reason you're seeing light is because of darkness and vice versa. So the
Yeah,
contrast is how human mind processes information, period. Okay. There's no
yeah,
other way. It's all about rate of change, is how we process information. That's the only way we function. That is just the way we are designed, right? So when we accept that, then the duality is a package. You're 100% right. And duality is just the only way we're going to be able to compare the two. Because if things are only one, then we're not processing any information. So we don't even acknowledge it. If it's all love at all times, then there is no processing going on, right? Because we can only compare data. And then when the data has a gradient, it triggers it. And that's how we actually
exactly.
process everything. So it's pretty interesting. So to me, like the whole light and dark thing, right? Because we all have within us, we all have around us darkness and light. What it is that you have to definitely make sure, because we all have skeleton in our closet, we all have challenges that we have to deal with every day. being in this body, right? We all have. I think that the key way you can integrate this aspect of you that can be categorized as darkness is by accepting it, honoring it, processing it, releasing it, upgrading it. You can take all of those steps, right? So that is the power that you have within you to do it all. But take ownership of your emotion and your skeleton in the closet.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important thing, like this. Yeah, taking ownership over your emotion, over your emotional state. Because, for example, today I had a speech at this HR conferences, and I was talking about heart energy. Yeah. And also like scientific view of heart energy in teams. So when we are talking about electromagnetic field, that is made, that our heart is producing, it's called Taurus. Yeah, that's a scientific name. So when people are thinking about this field, we like their emotions and thoughts are inside this electromagnetic field. So how I see it as well, it's not the only field that we have around us. There's aura, there are so many layers. And would you be so kind and just explain a little bit? Because like we are multidimensional beings. That's that is a fact. But when we are learning about stuff, there's like, oh my god, and people are like, okay, so this is it, and heart energy, and like electromagnetic field is like heart chakra. Heart energy is heart chakra. It's not like that. It's, I think it's like it's multidimensional. But
Right.
yeah,
So,
would you put some clarity around it?
so let's make sure that everybody understands basic words, right? So we are vibrating at all times, right? So just like our heart is, beating, similarly, like, if you keep zooming in, right? If you keep zooming in at the cellular level, we're vibrating at the electronic level, right? You zoom
Yeah.
out, you see the heart, you see the human body. Now, if you can see, like, let's say you're wearing a certain glasses where you can see the electromagnetic field, we are generating the electromagnetic field at all times. But depending on our emotion, whether we feel love, whether we feel fear,
Yeah.
all of that kind of affects the projection that we have, the electromagnetic field. Now, the shape of the electromagnetic field shows up as like a toric field and torus. It makes a tube torus. Okay, so that's the
Yeah,
terminology. So it
like a
makes
donut. Yeah, donut shape. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So that is the depiction. But that projection that we do, it's a continuous dance because just like a contraction, expansion, right? The
Mm-hmm,
electron
mm-hmm.
to and fro movement. Similarly, we are making it bigger and bigger, or we are making it smaller and smaller, depending on whether how our emotion is dancing, right? With whatever we are interacting with at a time. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. So when we start understanding that, so the word chakra pretty much means vortex of energy. So we have like tubes coming off of all our chakras, both front and back, right? Because that's just the way everything moves. So it's kind of like the way we are a moving human craft, right? We are continuously moving within our conglomeration of electrons. We are cohesive, right? For many reasons. It's just the way we process information. So it gets pretty deep. But to keep it simple, I guess what I'm saying is that all of these terminology.
Keep it simple. Yeah, and that's the question. Can we keep it simple? Because it's like a lot.
Yes. So in order to keep it simple, what I would say is that just know that at the subatomic level, you're vibrating, right? And when you keep zooming in or zooming out, you can see basically you're talking about yourself. And this vibration is directly connected with how you feel. So when you feel happy, your electromagnetic field is projecting that in a very beautiful sacred geometry. Okay. When you
Yeah.
feel unhappy, sad, fearful, scared, then of course also you're creating a sacred geometry. It looks different than the other one. So that dance is continuously happening, and your feeling does mean a lot because it does end up projecting outside. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why if everybody can honor it, make sure that they understand their feeling, make sure they do something about it, then I think that we can actually live in a way better place.
Yeah. I mean, if we all radiate like love and appreciation, and like gratefulness, definitely, and care, kindness. But where does the heart chakra come in? So, like from spiritual point of view, what would you say? Because we know the heart, as our organ, is like a pump, in the middle of our chest, and this pump, it's radiating, it's producing electromagnetic field, yeah, like it's producing also current, yeah, like and the field, like electromagnetic field around us, which is, I think, 3 feet. It goes like 3 feet outside of our body. But from spiritual point of view, we are talking about heart chakra, and we are talking about, auras and like all this stuff. Is there a connection between those two?
Yes, of course. Because the thing is that heart actually ends up becoming the most important organ in our body, because if you think about it, it has more neurons than the brain. It has a
Yeah.
higher electromagnetic field signature than the brain. Brain
and
completely
it and it sends more information. The heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to heart. Yeah.
exactly. So all that says that the heart pretty much is running the show. It's like a Greek
Yeah.
wedding, right? Where the woman is telling the
Yeah.
man to turn the neck. Heart is doing all the work, and brain relies on the heart. And that's why the vagus nerve, right, that communicates between brain and heart is so critical for our, because that's our communication bridge. So heart spiritually is Christ consciousness, right? So in Kabbalistic learning, we refer to the heart as Christ consciousness. And
Mhm.
Christ in this context means it's the center that basically brings everything together, as above, so below. Okay. So this becomes a place where, because your root chakra is all your basic necessity, right? Your life, your food, clothing, and shelter, right? Then you have a sacral chakra, right? Which is about your creativity, right?
Mhm.
And then you have a solar plex chakra, which is all about your powerhouse, like
Emotions. Yeah.
self-image,
Yeah.
right? What you believe in.
Yeah.
So all of these are lower chakras, and they are the one that helps you survive in this world. They are the one that you really need to use all the time when you're in a physical dimension. So what heart does, it completely converges it to itself. It says, come to me, right? Like I want to help you connect all of these different aspects of you, right? So that's why heart becomes the connector. And then when you look at the above chakra, these are all higher level chakra. They are the one that lives on a spiritual realm and lives
Mhm.
on a other dimension other than physical, right? So start with the throat chakra, which is all about communication, right? And communication is not just about communication to the world, communication to yourself. So it's a very,
Mhm.
everything that you do, the dance is beautiful because it goes in and goes out, right? And then, you go to the third eye, right? Your basically your eye that can see through the illusion, right? So that is a third eye chakra. And that one helps you see what is real, what is not, helps you with the discernment, helps you with the truth. And so that becomes another guardian of yours. And then when you go to the crown chakra, that is the one decides pretty much what can funnel through from everything outside of us, right? Because we're connected with every other being, every other thing in the cosmos. So that heart again is converging these three above chakras. So you think about heart as the bridge. It's basically
Mhm.
taking your physical aspect of existence, it's taking your mental and your spiritual aspect, and it's an emotional one, right? So it's basically converging all these aspects. So if you think about it, heart becomes the merger.
So it's like a meeting point between sky and earth.
Yes, you can say that.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Yeah, that's amazing explanation. Thank you. That's really cool.
And the funny
So,
thing, I have to say the affirmation of Kabbalah, by the way, on heart. It says, "In all things, great and small, I see the beauty of the divine expression."
oh wow, that's beautiful. So, so let me tell you a fun fact. It's the third eye chakra. It's ajna, yeah. It's AJNA, yeah.
Yes,
Ajna, I think. Is it pronounced ajna?
I think
How
so.
do you
Yeah.
say it?
I think so
Yeah.
because I think it's
So
a Hindi word. Yes.
yeah, it's really funny, because my name is Anja, and I don't know, from somewhere, like people call me Anja or Anya or whatever. But recently I got quite a lot of messages, also emails. It's like, hello, Ajna. It's like, okay.
Right?
because there are typos, but it's like, okay.
No, because that's what I'm saying. That when you start playing the game of life, like you said, and when you start seeing that there is nothing that's a coincidence, everything is pre-programmed, everything has a, everything has an essence that you are supposed to carry that because that's part of your story. All of that becomes so much fun because you don't need Netflix for entertainment only. You can be entertained by all the
Exactly.
things that come to you on
I
a
can
regular
just call
basis.
you. I can call my friend from NASA, Shehnaz. What happened? Like, well, how is your day? And that's a whole show.
24/7 entertainment we can provide. I know. Yeah, we can probably, we're thinking about 800 number. We can actually have that, as a side job,
Yeah.
right?
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, that was another very fun and insightful chat. What can we say to the viewers? For example, I can say that if anybody wants to, share their questions, what me and Shanaz could talk about, or what can I ask Shanaz, we are definitely open for that. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm a curious person, so I'm pretty sure, we will not run out of questions, but we are definitely open, for everybody else to integrate their wisdom, their questions. So yeah, that would be my conclusion for today. Would you like to add anything, Shanaz?
Yeah, what I would add is that this was great conversation as always. And what I would add is that if more people are interested and if they can comment it on either Anya's networking platform or mine, it doesn't really matter. If they're interested in doing something for 90 minutes for before the new year or around the new year to help people kind of really reinforce their vision or help people clarify their vision, then I think it would be fun for us to have some sort of interactive live
Yeah,
show where
like a
we
master class or something, or webinar or something. Yeah.
for people to actually bounce the idea if they're struggling with anything, like more like a life coaching, but kind of focus on the vision of 2024. So that I just want to put it out there for people. And what I would say is that meanwhile, you need to make sure that you represent yourself like a lawyer. You become an advocate of yourself. And when you have trouble representing yourself, then go to people who believes in you because there's always someone who believes in you more sometimes than you yourself believe in yourself. So you can go to that. And I hope that you do have at least one person who does that because we are doing it for each other.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I agree. So
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you, Shanaz, for today, and I'll see you next time in Heart Space. Yeah, where else?
Yeah. My heart to your heart.
Bye. Bye.